The Kangaroos will name 7 debutants. Can you take us through them?
Yeah, look, it's going to be, there's obviously a lot to play out today. 6 players, from my understanding, in that squad that's going to be named tomorrow. So the 7 debutants at this point are going to be Ethan Strange, Keon Kalamatangi, Bradman Best, Jacob Preston, Blake Brayley, Reece Walsh and Mark Nwanganitawase. So I don't think there's any of them there really that don't deserve to go. Maybe Bradman Best's form this year, you could argue that that he hasn't got in based on form, but they are short on centre options. And I think the 23-man squad that they're taking over to England is going to be more than competitive.
What about for the halves then? So absolutely no surprise. Naturally, you have Cleary and Munster. Ethan Strange in there. He's versatile. He can play in the outside backs as well. Tommy did and then gets the nod in the squad, which means no Mitchell Moses. Do you think that was something that they really went back and forth over?
Well, I don't think people would argue that Mitchell Moses deserves to go on the tour. He's one of the elite halves of the competition. But reality is Cameron Munster and Nathan Cleary are going to be the 6 and 7. Dearden's going to be the 14. So to take Mitchell Moses, someone of his calibre, over to England and potentially sit there for 3 or 4 weeks when he's had a lot of injury concerns, maybe it's best for Mitchell. Maybe it's a level of respect that they didn't want him to sit there. What do you guys think?
I think it'll do him the world of good not to go. He's had quite a few injuries this year, and I think having a full pre-season under his belt will help the Parramatta Eels and his season next year. And the other thing is Mitchell Moses can only play in the halves. Ethan Strange has played in the centres, he played in the halves. He's equipped to play a number of positions. He could even play that 14 role off the bench. So I think that was factored into the decision as well.
There was a time when, if you're picking international teams, club teams and injuries weren't considered. You just picked the best players who were going to play. If Mitchell Moses is the best player, he should go, regardless of whether you think, there's going to be no injuries over there. If he's carrying injuries at the moment, he's fit and healthy. So he should be going because he's most likely the next best halfback. If Nathan gets injured over there, you want Mitchell Moses.
Is he though?
Yeah, I reckon.
Tom Dearden's won the last 2.
Well, Mitchell's the incumbent. He was halfback last year when they won it. So that's got to carry something with the coach, and it's a different coach, so he gets to bring his own ideas.
So just say hypothetically there is an injury to Nathan or Munster, and Dearden does go in, then who's 14? You know how important jersey 14 is.
Well, I think Ethan Strange probably comes into that.
Do you think Ethan Strange could play dummy half?
I think he could.
Okay.
I think he's physical enough to play in the middle of the field for sure.
Do they change the way they play? Maybe play Blake Brayley on the bench as well?
Yeah, that's
2 hookers. Blake Brayley's going over there with his form this year. They wanted him to go. So I think you're allowed to take 24 players over. The commission originally decided they were going to take 22. They've allowed for 1 more. So Ethan Strange is now that 23. Interesting to see who wins the back row battle. Does Jacob Preston? I know that Kevy's got a big rap on Jacob Preston. Does he get in there ahead of someone like a Hudson Young? So plenty of decisions still to be made.
He's a specialised right second rower, Jacob Preston. Hudson Young runs with the ball in his left hand. He can only really play on the left-hand side of the ruck. Angus can play both sides, but I think Jacob Preston definitely deserves his position. The big one is Tino.
Yeah.
He's a play one front rower. Without Tino, there is no play one front rower, which means they do the work for the other middles. So Tino coming in is massive for Australia, massive.
I think Carrigan being fit through tonight's game as well is very important. He just brings that experience. He's also an aggressive player, which you're going to need over there.
Yeah, I think they've got a good mix in the forwards. They've got Tino, Kalamatangi can play in the middle, Carrigan, Collins, Cotter, and Smith adds that point of difference with the ball playing ability. I think he's a player that is going to feature in the Australian jersey for a long time, Lindsay Smith.
Joey, you touched on Tino. Are we convinced he's obviously pledged his allegiance to Australia? He says unfinished business. But do you think this is a long-term decision from Tino, or is there a chance, for my mail, is he still looking at playing for Samoa at the World Cup?
Well, for mine, if you choose now, that's it for your career. That is just my opinion. And you need to sit down with every player now at the age of, say, 18, 19, and you need to say, who do you pledge to? And whoever you pledge to, you stay. You cannot flip and flop.
But then that's not good for the international game, because someone like Isaiah Katoa, who's probably, let's say he wants to play for Australia, he wouldn't be playing for 8 or 9 years while Nathan's there. It's good for the game that he's playing for Tonga.
He's pledged to Tonga, that's
I know,
it. He
but
plays his whole
in an
career.
example where someone wants to play for Australia, but they are eligible for a Pacific nation, is it good for the game that they're going to sit there for 8 or 9 years and not play international football?
No, it's not, but they're saying they want to play for Tonga or Samoa, and once your decision is made, you want to play for your Pacific nation, that's it. You can't come back. Origin stays the same. You've got to be here.
What about Fiji? What about Lebanon? What about all these other teams that are part of a second-tier system?
Well, then we
at the
get into
moment?
the murky thing of developing nations, tier 2, tier 1. Needs to sit down and we need to sort out tier 1, tier 2. But at the moment, New Zealand, England, Samoa, Tonga, Australia are tier 1 nations. Once you make your decision, that's it. So that they have to have a real good conversation with whoever it is in their family, but by the time you start NRL, you have to make your decision.
Well, they need to do something. Because I think Tony Staggs is playing tonight, and I think there's a few coaches that are unsure who he's going to choose
He's Australia.
So he's Australia.
He's chosen Australia. So for mine, he has to stay with Australia.
That only happened this week. Katoni informed them that this week that he was going to play for Australia. So it is hard to make plans for your tour and your selections if you don't know a week out and who is going to be in your team.